What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Scale News Update. If you're not familiar with the show, this is where we talk about the news topics that happened in the scale world of RC over the past week. This week is a busy week, kicking 2024 off with a ton of new topics. So if you enjoy the Scale News Update, normally hit the like button. Let's jump into this week's topics. First for this week, Vanquish Products released the new VRD Stance RTR. This is the VRD platform, very similar to the VRD Carbon, which was released a couple of months ago. This is a RTR comp crawler, comp style crawler, scale comp crawler, whatever you want to call it. This is very similar to the VRD Carbon, but with a number of changes. It does have stamped aluminum frame rails rather than the carbon fiber. It of course has wheels, tires, body, and electronics to make it a actual RTR. The wheels and tires, it comes with the VXT2 tires, same tires that have been available from Vanquish for some time, and in the same red compound as they've always been offered. It also comes with the two-stage Vanquish foams pre-installed as well. It does come with the same cast metal knuckle weights up front to give it a little bit better forward weight bias. It still comes with the F10 portal axles and the VFD transmission. The VFD transmission doesn't have the 21% overdrive gears in it, it just has the standard 6.5. Overall, the truck has 24% overdrive versus the 37 in the VRD Carbon. If you're interested in this, these are available in both silver and very bright green. They're available in shipping now from Vanquish Products and dealers alike. So if you'd like more information or you would like to purchase one, I'll put a link to where you can find it in the description below. Next, Redcat released another version of the 64 Impala. This is the Gold Digger. It's all gold everywhere. Gold chassis, gold grille, gold Dayton wheels. Licensed Dayton wheels. Unlike the normal 64, this is a convertible version, and this is a limited edition, as it says. Costing this thing $649, comes with all of the goodies that the 64 has. So it's a hopping lowrider. It can do the actual bouncing around, raising, lowering, moving all about. These are currently on pre-order, and being that this is a limited edition, not sure if the pre-order will consist completely of the available units or if there will be some available after they're ready to ship. So how long you wait could determine whether or not you're able to get one. Knight Customs has a new downloadable pack for the VS410 Phoenix. This is the SEMA edition. Many of you may have seen at SEMA this year, there was a Toyota FJ build that had a big supercharged blower hat sticking out of the hood. Nice looking FJ, like kind of 45 rear end, very similar to the Phoenix with a number of details. It also had like a track for the skid plate, so it theoretically wouldn't get hung up in that situation. Now, this does not include a track. It says in the Knight Customs description, track sold separately. Some fun details there, and of course, a lot of the details that were available from Knight Customs previously. So if you're shopping around, you just want something a little bit crazier, this is a fun option from Knight Customs. This one is My Mini Factory. You'll purchase the files, and then you 3D print them yourself at home, just like all of the files on My Mini Factory. Next, our second RTR of the year. This is the Hard Park Dementor RTR. Now, Hard Park up to this point has just been an aftermarket manufacturer of SCX24 or small scale parts. Not sure if he's got other small scale platform parts, but SCX24 has been mainly his focus. He has had chassis and wheels and links, all kinds of stuff available, but this is the first time that he's offered an RTR. Now, these were a very limited production. There was only 10 of them made currently. Not saying that there will only ever be 10, but these were a full built package. I think these initially came with Super 8 axles from Little Guy Racing Parts, his Dementor chassis, custom wheels, tires, all that comes in a real nice, Pelican style case, pick and place foam, the whole deal. They were not cheap. Cost on these was $799. But if you're going to try and build this yourself, I believe you would still spend more on that just in parts. And this comes complete. Again, the first batch of 10 has already sold out. So if you're interested, follow Hard Park, probably post up on his social media, things like that, so that you can see when the next batch arrives. Traxxas has put out their first, to my knowledge, interior kit. This is for the TRX4 platform, and it's made to fit a number of their bodies, not all of them, but it fits the Blazers and Broncos and I believe the F-150. And this is a Lexan interior tray, but with a bunch of hard molded plastic parts that will go on there as well to finish out the detail. And it looks proper. It looks very good. I believe that it fits the 2021 Bronco as well, although the style of the interior would not be all that appropriate. But, you know, you could probably overlook some of that just to have the depth of an interior on the inside. If you've got any of those vehicles, this is available in a blue, black, and clear version. So if you want to paint it and detail it yourself, you've got that option, or you can get one that's pre-done and you just got to stick on the hard molded details and the decals to try and finish it all up. If you're interested in that, you can find them on the Traxxas website, and I'm sure we'll start to see them hit dealers before too long. Next, RTR number 3 is coming via YK. YK, we talk about every once in a while. They have been rebranded for other brands previously, but this one is going to be the Yong YK4106 Pro 2024. At least that's what I see from the, you know, translated versions, as this is mainly only posted on the Chinese websites currently. But what is interesting about this isn't the overall vehicle, because it looks similar to ones that they've had available previously. But underneath of the body in the chassis there, we'll see what I believe is one of the first vehicles to successfully come out with a selectable diff and cutting brakes. So it's got actual functioning brake discs on the outside of the rear axles and an unlocking diff in that axle. So if you're not familiar with what a cutting brake does, you can unlock the diff and then lock one wheel, and then you kind of pivot around that. It's like a more specific version of a dig, kind of. It is useful in its own ways in different applications, but this is something that you've seen offered in OEM vehicles now, like I believe the new Ford Bronco has it. I believe some of the Land Rovers or Range Rovers or whatever Rover product possibly has it. And then you can, you know, incorporate it in other factory vehicles now with programmers and things like that. But I believe that this is the first time I've seen this publicly or, you know, commercially put out there successfully. Of course, we've seen cutting brakes in the past, but they didn't always make it fully to market. It'd be interesting to see the success of this, how it's, you know, actually implemented, if people like it, although we may not see as much of that here, as we don't often see the YK stuff often in the US. Unless you're importing it and wanting to try out something specifically, they really haven't had all that many options in the past that made that a very worthwhile idea. But now that they're having some features that maybe you can't get somewhere else, maybe we'll see it more often. I haven't seen a price for this product yet, and it is not yet available on the YK website. So I'll keep an eye out to see if I can find any more information as time goes on. Next, we have the T-Wolf M715. Now, the M715 from T-Wolf was previously released like a couple of years ago. But this, I believe, from what the translated post says, is a new version. And the previous version was about $2,000. And it was modeled after a SEMA vehicle or like one of the automaker, you know, concept type trucks. We had seen that, you know, at some of those big events. It made kind of a splash at the time. And they made a replica of that with this not too long after. All metal, CNC'd here and there, and it was about $2,000. This one is a very similar design still. The outside look is still pretty similar, but I don't know exactly what they've changed or updated. They say they've upped their tolerances, and it's got 0.03 millimeter tolerances on 5th axis machining throughout this. And it looks like that has about doubled the cost of it from the one place that I did see it listed now, or the new one listed. This one's going to be around $4,000. As far as what else about it, I've seen a couple of photos. That's it. Poor information available anywhere. Every once in a while, it is cool to see these high-end vehicles and what they can do. It'd just be nice to actually see what it is, rather than just a couple of vague photos and a listing for it. And it's like, yeah, buy it. Maybe you'll figure out what it is when it comes. And speaking of really poor listings, RC4WD released a new product. This is the R7 transmission. They had a post on social media showing this new R7 transmission. It's listed on their website, and there's nothing. There's no information. It's just the product listing, a handful of photos, and figure it out. It's the worst. I can't believe that they launched what seems to be a new product, new transmission for, I believe, like the Marlin crawler. So you can take out the R2 or R3 transmission that came in those and bolt this in place. And for what benefit, I'm not sure. It looks like it's multi-purpose because it has an output shaft on both sides, but how they have it showed installed, there's only an output shaft being used on one side. So not sure if it can be, flipped around and used that way, if it's got overdrive built in or what. No information whatsoever. It's just the most half done product release. I don't know. I don't know what this thing does. I don't know what it offers. I don't know why you'd buy it, but it's available. And if you've got a Marlin, maybe it's better than the factory one. I don't know. Maybe they'll update the web page. And one of the other new releases from RC4WD Drive, a little bit more self-explanatory. These are half doors for the Toyota 4Runner body set. This gives you that cool little drop-down half door style. It's a multi-piece set, so you can maintain the functioning opening doors of that 4Runner. It's got the magnetic closure, little crossbar that you can put in there. It all kind of snaps together. Looks pretty decent. Paint it up to match the rest of your body set. Go to town. That one doesn't need a lot of explaining. Next, Axial released a V3 of the SCX24 Jeep JL. This same platform as before, but now it has the updated electronics and the new shocks that came on the Power Wagon. These were a much nicer, larger diameter, oil-filled, dampened shock. Previous shocks on the SCX24, pretty much just for aesthetics, and just bouncing. Bouncing, that's all it does. These shocks are pretty proper shock. They actually look and feel decent. So they've updated that on this JL. I assume that we'll see these now kind of go through the line. Before they were only offered on the Power Wagon. So now expect to see them as they probably reorder the rest of the vehicles. The updated electronics, I'm not sure if they're any better or not, but the charger that comes with this now is definitely a little bit better than the previous one, in my opinion. And also from Horizon, the Spektrum branch just released the new DX6C. This is a new 6-channel, lower cost radio. So I think like the 6Rs and things like that would be the more expensive. I'm not sure if they still make the 6R actually, but either way. 6C, lower cost Spektrum ecosystem still. So if you've got Spektrum receivers and you just need a little bit more functionality, this one may make sense for you. JConcepts just released 3 of their small scale tires in a pre-mounted version. These are specifically noted to be for the FCX24. Again, I'm not 100% sure why it's stated for that, whether it's just size or if they use a little bit different hex or wheel nut or what, but you can now get the holds, the Fling Kings, and the Tusks in these pre-mounted. They're a taller tire. I think these are like 63 millimeters overall. And there's 2 different wheel options for those pre-mounts. So if you're looking for some of those, especially the Fling Kings, those things look great. Back when Traxxas released the TRX4M, you were not supposed to be able to buy it online, except through Traxxas Direct. Beyond that, hobby shops could show it to you online, but you had to go buy it in store. Now, that has gone away, and you can now buy them online. So if you've been wanting to pick one of these up and you wanted to go to your favorite retailer instead of Traxxas Direct, you can now do that as of January 1st. And along with the TRX4M, I think that there was a number of their other vehicles. I think specifically like some of the XRTs. Those were initially launched that way, and now those are available online also. An episode or 2 back, we talked about a new large-scale crawler that was coming out, and at the time it was noted under a brand that I was unfamiliar with, but that brand is actually the same as Rlaarlo, which I am familiar with. They have popped up here in the last year or 2, and this, the MK07, is from them. So this is that 1/7 scale, very clearly a Jeep, and underneath is very clearly something that looks very much like an SCX6. I believe that this is a little bit smaller, as it's 1/7 scale, not 1/6 scale, but there's a lot of details underneath that do look very similar still. The body is very well detailed from this clip that was posted on the Rlaarlo Instagram story. You can see some more detail, super high functioning light set in it with lights flashing and flickering all over. It also looked like it came with a LCD radio, the color LCD screen on this radio. That you see for a second, you can't see much else. It does say Rlaarlo on the splash screen when they turn it on, so it does seem like it is their radio. Probably comes with the car. But beyond that, we still don't have much more information of what this thing is going to do. So still waiting to see anything else, but pretty, the large scale stuff is cool to see. So I'm still waiting to see exactly what this thing looks like, what the price is, and if it's gonna kind of stand up to something like the SCX6. And from that 1/7 scale all the way back down to a 1/32 scale, the Fitech 1/32 scales are now available. We talked about those last year, and they were, basically rebranded Orlando's, but under the Fitech name. They come with all the Fitech things you would expect, but they're very expensive. Also, these things are god awful to work on, way worse than a 1/24 scale could ever seem. I cannot recommend against these things enough. Last week, I talked about a post from Team Associated that I thought was leading towards their 1/7 scale release, the unicorn thing that is going to be coming out at some point. That was incorrect. It was actually for the B7. It's a race car. Worst news ever. But if you're a racer, this Wednesday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, come join Matt and I for the 200th episode of Livestream Takeover. 200 weeks in a row, hitting that milestone. Come join us for something that will likely be very similar to the rest of the shows. But that does it for this week's news topics. For this week's question, last week we talked about predictions for the upcoming year, and I can't wait till the end of the year to see if you guys got close on any of those. I didn't ask you last week to put your guess in for how many RTRs we'll have this year, so go ahead and do that in this one as well. But at the same time, I was listening to the Brazen Scale live stream on Monday night, tonight, the night that I'm filming this. They were talking about brands being sold, and I was trying to think of all the brands in RC that I remember that have ever been sold or changed hands and are still going or possibly aren't going. Be interesting to hear which brands you guys remember during your RC career that have changed hands, and if they're doing better or not, in your opinion, from where they were previously. Maybe it's traded hands a number of times. We have, of course, seen Axial trade hands 3 times total, going from the original owners to Great Plains / Hobbyco, now to Horizon. Brands like Losi used to be their own brand, now they're with Horizon, and many more, some of which I just can't remember. Maybe I know of them, or maybe, and I'm sure there's many that I have no idea of. Be interested to hear which ones you guys remember and how you felt that it's gone under the new ownership of whoever it is, even if it hasn't been that new. Maybe it's been 10, 15, 20 years. Be interesting to hear your experience and your opinions on that. Put them in the comments below. But as always, I appreciate you guys watching the Scale News Update every Tuesday. Hit the like button if you enjoy it. Subscribe if you're not already. Hit the notification bell so you see the videos as soon as they get uploaded. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.